Betrayal doesn't storm in like thunder. It slides in quiet, like smoke under a locked door. By the time you notice it, the room's already burning. The night it found me, I was 17, sitting at my Aunt Laura's dining room table, and everyone was staring at me like I'd already confessed to a crime I didn't commit. That accusation destroyed my life. But 17 years later, when she tried to destroy the only home I'd ever known, I finally showed her, and the whole town, exactly who the real thief was. I'm Angela. And this is how I was blamed for my brother's theft at 17, exiled from my family, and 17 years later, used the evidence I'd kept hidden to expose my aunt's corrupt business empire. Hit subscribe and stick to the end for my honest take on whether I went too far. Now let me tell you what happened. Aunt Laura's dining room smelled like overcooked beef and cheap perfume. Sharp, powdery, the kind that clings to your clothes like a warning. The light over the table was yellow and dim, swaying from the ceiling fan. The oak table gleamed, polished obsessively. On the walls hung picture after picture. Cousins in graduation gowns, weddings framed in silver, kids with missing teeth smiling wide, proof that this family produced something worth celebrating. And there I was, 17, perched at the far end, shoulders drawn in, trying to disappear into the wallpaper. Aunt Laura tapped her wine glass with a manicured nail. The ringing cut through the chatter until everyone went silent. She leaned back, lips stretched into a smile that didn't reach her eyes, red lipstick bleeding into the lines around her mouth. "Money's gone from my purse," she said. The words floated across the table, casual, like dropping a knife onto linen. She didn't look at Cousin Sharon. Didn't look at my brother Gary. Just me, the scrape of silverware freezing midair. The slow hush of conversation is dying. Every eye shifted to me like a spotlight I never asked for. "I didn't take anything," I said. My voice was steady. I thought the truth carried its own weight. Then my mother's hand closed around my arm, nails digging through my sleeve. Her breath was hot with wine as she leaned close and hissed, "Tell me the truth, Angela." That was the moment something inside me split. Not just because she doubted me, but because I saw relief on her face when she decided I must be guilty. My shame made her life simpler, and Gary. 2 seats down, his plate still full, fork frozen midair. Eyes wide, lips pressed shut. He looked terrified, but he said nothing. Later that night, upstairs in his room, I found the torn bank envelope wedged behind his baseball cards. His name printed across the front, $200 withdrawn 3 days earlier. He looked at me under his desk lamp, face pale, hands shaking. "Don't," he whispered. "Just that one word. Don't tell. Don't ruin it. Don't make waves." And I didn't. Because I thought that's what siblings did. You carry the weight so they don't have to. But I kept that envelope. I folded it carefully and tucked it in my backpack, pressed between the pages of my only book. Some part of me knew the truth would matter someday. I left before dawn. Backpack half unzipped, $86 inside. No plan. Just betrayal on my tongue and that envelope, hidden like a weapon I didn't know I'd need. The bus station smelled like wet coats and burnt coffee. I bought a one-way ticket to anywhere. When I stepped off in Riverside at 4 a.m., the air was damp, thick with exhaust. Storefronts shuttered, streets empty except for one corner shop glowing faintly. Benjamin's Bread and Coffee. The bell rang soft when I pushed the door open. Warmth slammed into me, thick with yeast and cinnamon. My chest tightened from relief so sharp it hurt. Behind the counter, a man with tired eyes and flour-streaked arms stared at me. "Are you lost or hungry?" he asked. I swallowed hard. "Both." His wife slid a roll across the counter, steam curling from its crust. "Eat," she said. "Then mop. We open in 2 hours." That was my interview. That was the beginning. Benjamin and Deborah Carter didn't ask about my soaked shoes or why my voice cracked. They just handed me a rag, and later, a key to the small room upstairs. Twin bed, window that stuck, heater that rattled. Rent came from my paycheck. No questions. No pity. For the first time, silence meant safety. Deborah taught me to refill jam jars without mess. Benjamin showed me how to knead dough without fighting it. "You're not wrestling it," he'd say. "Treat it rough, it dies." Days blurred into rhythm. Scrub, sweep, slice, breathe. My arms ached, but the ache meant I belonged. Every week I wrote letters home. Short. Careful. I'm fine. Don't worry. Sometimes I slipped bills inside for Gary. No name. No return address. Just a ghost sister haunting the mailbox. For a while, that was enough. But betrayal doesn't stab once and leave. It circles back. The letter came one morning, slid under the bakery door. White envelope, thin paper, rent increases, 18%. At the bottom, the name hit me like a fist. Mercer Properties, Laura's company. The same family who exiled me, now trying to gut my only home. I stood in the kitchen, hands dusted with flour, staring until the words blurred. Deborah laid her hand on my shoulder. "We'll figure it out," she said softly. But I heard the tremor. I couldn't let it happen again. Not here, not to them, so I fought. Quietly at first, I documented everything. Every conversation, every email, every phone call. I saved receipts showing Benjamin and Deborah had paid rent on time for 15 years. I photographed repairs they'd made themselves, because Laura's company never responded to maintenance requests. I learned tenant rights law at the library. Stayed until midnight reading statutes by flickering lights. I found patterns. Other small businesses Mercer Properties had pushed out. Rent increases without justification. Buildings left to decay. I wasn't just fighting for the bakery anymore. I was building a case, circling due dates in red, carrying that letter like a weapon. Word spread. Customers whispered. A reporter came. The headline read, "Beloved bakery bled dry by corporate landlord. Strangers filled the tip jar." Paid months ahead for bread. Showed up at dawn saying, "We've got you." Inside, something flared. I wasn't running this time. One night, Benjamin and Deborah sat me down. Steam curled from tea mugs. Their faces looked older. "We're ready to step back," Benjamin said. "We want you to take the shop." I was 34. No credit, no safety net. Just calloused hands and fire in my chest. They weren't giving me business. They were handing me a life. I gathered everything I'd documented. Letters, emails, photographs of neglect. I prepared for war. The city council hearing was Thursday evening. I showed up in a borrowed shirt too big, a manila folder clutched tight. The room was packed. Business owners, tenants, reporters. And there, in the front row, sat Laura Mercer. Perfectly styled hair. Designer suit. Manicured nails drumming impatiently. She didn't recognize me. Why would she? I was just another nobody fighting her empire. When my turn came, I stood at the podium. Hands shaking, voice clear. Members of the council, I'm here to contest the rent increase imposed by Mercer Properties on Benjamin's Bread and Coffee. I opened my folder. This business has operated in Riverside for 32 years. The owners have paid rent on time for 15 years. Despite this, Mercer Properties demands 18% more, with no improvements, no repairs, no justification. I projected documents. Rent receipts, ignored maintenance requests, photos of leaking roofs, cracked windows, dead furnaces. Mercer Properties has a pattern. Over 5 years, they've forced out 12 small businesses through unjustified increases. Everyone is replaced by corporate chains, murmurs rippled. Laura shifted uncomfortably. But there's something else you should know about this landlord. I clicked to the next slide. A photo appeared, Laura's dining room. That yellow light, that polished oak table. Laura's face went pale. 17 years ago, Laura Mercer accused me of stealing $200 at a family dinner. I was 17. Her nephew, my brother Gary, actually took it. But she chose to believe I was guilty. The room went silent. I have proof. I held up the bank envelope. Gary's name is still visible, preserved for 17 years. I kept this. Not for revenge, because I knew the truth mattered. I looked directly at Laura. Her composed face was cracking. She exiled me that night, told everyone I was a thief. I ended up here at Benjamin's Bakery at 4 a.m. with $86 and nowhere else to go. Benjamin and Deborah saved my life. My voice broke. I pushed through. And now, Laura Mercer is trying to destroy the only home I've known. This isn't about rent. This is about a pattern of cruelty. This is about accountability. I placed the final document, a legal brief prepared with pro bono help. I'm not just asking you to deny this increase. I'm asking you to investigate Mercer Properties for predatory practices. I have documentation of 12 cases, signed statements, evidence of systematic exploitation. I stepped back. Laura called me a thief at 17, but she's been stealing livelihoods, community spaces, futures, and I'm not letting her steal anything else. The council deliberated 20 minutes. When they returned, the decision was unanimous. Rent increase, denied. Investigation into Mercer properties, opened. Immediate inspection, mandated. As applause erupted, I watched Laura stand. She moved toward the exit, but her eyes found mine. She stopped. Recognition flickered. "You," she whispered. "Me," I said. "The thief you exiled. I didn't steal from you then, Laura. But you tried to steal my future, and I'm not letting you steal anyone else's." Her mouth opened, closed. No words. She left without a sound. The local reporter approached. "That was brave. Can I interview you?" "Yes," I said. "But I want to talk about Benjamin and Deborah too. About what a real family looks like." The article ran 3 days later. Front page. False accusations, true justice, how one woman exposed a predatory landlord. It included Gary's envelope photo, quotes from other targeted business owners, a timeline of Laura's exploitation. Within a week, the state attorney general announced a formal investigation. Laura's company faced $340,000 in fines, mandatory restitution, civil lawsuits. Her pristine reputation, built on philanthropy and church donations, crumbled like stale bread. 2 months later, the bakery bell rang. Gary stood in the doorway, older, leaner, but the same eyes that once begged me to stay silent. He didn't speak at first. Just stood there, shifting, gaze sweeping the bakery like he wasn't sure he was allowed inside. Finally, "I heard what you did." "At the hearing," I nodded. "Waited. You told the truth," he said, voice cracking. "About me. I kept that envelope for 17 years. Not because I hated you, because I knew the truth would matter more than keeping peace." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry. For everything. For letting you take blame. For never speaking up." "I know," I said. The words I'd craved were finally there, and I realized I didn't need them anymore. But he did. I slid a roll across the counter, just like Deborah had done for me. "Eat," I said. He stared, confused. "Then mop," I added. His laugh cracked into a sob. "What? You want forgiveness, Gary? Earn it. I work here every Saturday for a year. Face the people. Learn what accountability looks like." Tears streamed. "Really? Really? Benjamin and Deborah gave me a chance with nothing. I'm giving you the same, but you do the work." He nodded, unable to speak. "And Gary? Laura knows now. The whole town knows. You can't hide. So if you're here, be honest. About everything." "I will," he whispered. "I promise." He showed up that Saturday at 5 a.m., flour-dusted apron. Shaking hands, Deborah handed him a mop without a word. He worked every Saturday for a year. I learned to knead dough, to smile at customers who whispered, to face his shame. Slowly, he became someone worth forgiving. Laura never apologized. Not to me, not to anyone, but her company faced massive fines. Lost contracts. Her board forced her to step down as CEO. The other businesses Mercer Properties pushed out, some came back. New owners filled empty storefronts. Riverside breathed again, and me, I'm still here. Benjamin and Deborah transferred ownership officially. We renamed it Benjamins & Co. Honoring them. Honoring the community that saved me. My name is on the lease. My hands are still dusted with flour. My heart is still beating. Some nights, I lock up late. The street is empty. Bread smell thick in the air. I lean against the counter, listening to the hum of freezers, thinking about that 17-year-old girl who left Laura's house with $86 and a stolen envelope. She thought she was running away, didn't know she was running toward everything that mattered. Family isn't blood. Sometimes family is the people who hand you a roll at 4 a.m. and say, "Eat, then mop." That's the truth no one can take away. Living well isn't just the best revenge. Sometimes telling the truth in public is. Now here's my honest take. Angela did exactly the right thing. Laura destroyed a 17-year-old's life over a lie, and 17 years later tried to destroy Angela's home. Exposing a pattern of predatory behavior that hurt 12 businesses isn't revenge, it's justice. And making Gary work for forgiveness? That's real accountability. What do you think? Did she go too far exposing Laura publicly, or did Laura get what she deserved? Should she have forgiven Gary without conditions? Drop your opinion in the comments. If this moved you, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about people who turned betrayal into justice. Remember, documentation is power, and truth always finds light. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.